And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 93.
93. I feel like I do this every time.
I think.
Is it really only 93?
Yeah, it's because we're spacing it 2 weeks now.
Oh, that's why. Yeah.
We would have been much higher. Around, I think it's like 20 episodes ago, we started spacing it 2 weeks. And so we have slowed down a bit.
Oh, well, Kaiser, don't worry. In about 2 years' time, I might be able to do one per week.
Speaking of, the reason for that, obviously very busy lives. I'm going to say this now because I'm excited and I'm going to tell the world.
You said it on a previous one, but go on.
I said I was in the process, but as of today, I now own that house. I now own the house. I signed the papers this morning, got the keys, walked around. It's a nice place. Moved in some basic stuff.
There's a forever sleep door upstairs.
Oh, yeah. There's a giant in the upstairs. They redid one of the rooms, and I don't know if the old window was crap or they just completely redid it. But one of the windows, compared to all the other ones in the house, is enormous. You could walk out of it. You'd have to crouch a little bit, but...
Oh, you wouldn't, but yeah.
No, I still would. You'd have to, bend over and duck.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
I mean, you're saying how... Because it's got a slanted ceiling, right? That would really fuck me up. Bear in mind...
Oh, yeah. Fair point.
Literally the room that I'm in.
The upstairs room. So this is relevant to the podcast. This isn't just me going yeah, I own a home. We're actually going to be doing stuff with it for both probably the podcast and the YouTube channel.
And by we, he means he, because I don't live over there. But,
no, we, because he is going to be over here. Yep.
For a brief amount of time. That is super exciting. I cannot wait for that. And it's getting closer at quite a speed, honestly.
Yeah. We're only, a month and a half away now?
Oh, my God. And we finally got stuff all sorted and ready to go, apart from exchanging currencies.
Yeah. You can kind of do that here. Credit cards in general will work, but if you use a card that goes through your bank, make sure you call them. This is general travel advice for the podcast audience. When you're traveling abroad, if you use a credit card that isn't made for traveling, make sure to contact them or contact the bank and go yo, I'm traveling, so they don't cut off your card when you're in a foreign country.
Sure. Well, classically, England, all about contactless payments. America,
not so much.
Not at all. I have heard that it is... Most places don't take contactless. You've got to have cash in hand.
That's a bit much. So, it depends on the state. So, the state I live in, great state of Massachusetts.
Have Amex or something.
Here in my state, we do have contactless now at most places, or the chip or whatever.
The chip.
You have the card that has a little chip in it. You insert it.
But you make it sound like that Doctor Who episode where they all have the inbuilt chip in their brains and they just connect through the brain hole.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about, the news station one. But where we're going in Montana, it's probably a good idea to, there's probably not going to be nearly as much contactless. I know it's barely a thing out where
Hang on, it's not going to be nearly as much. There's not going to be much contact. Sorry, it was the double negative that fucked me there.
Yeah, apologies. It's been a very long day. I was up early to sign the papers and get everything moving, and then I was moving stuff between here and there.
Although, you mean it's not been a very short day?
I hate you.
You have to think about that one.
Oh, God. But yeah, so some of the ideas we have. One of the rooms I'm basically going to be converting into an office. And when Blue's out here, we might be able to do a live pod. Well, not live, but maybe live. But either way, we're going to be in the same room.
Yeah, and it's going to be so exciting. And there might actually be a degree of production value in it. Holy shit.
I'll need to get a second microphone.
True. Or you could, just stick it in the middle, and because you got one of those nice ones.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I do have the dual range, the Yeti.
You got so much shit. I've been working off the same, one microphone, one camera, just the same setup for a very long time. My PC is far out of date.
I've gone a little bit overboard with it, I'll admit.
No, I love it. Well, I mean, maybe your bank disagrees, but
Oh man, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that out front because because I'm psyched as all hell because I actually the big thing for me is having a yard. Like I have plants, I have several trees.
yeah, we were talking about the kind of tree that was in your front lawn.
Yeah, I
Which we
think
shouldn't give very too much details. I'm well aware of that. So,
well, it's
so
not
let's
really
not
going
talk
to
about
narrow it down. I mean, it's
No, I
an
know.
oak of some variety. I think.
Yeah,
I think that's what
that's
my parents were up
Lumpy
there
said
earlier, and
something
they
in the
were.
chat, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, what
he
did
seems to know a lot about trees."
yeah, you never know. Although the whole he's saying could be a maple, could be a sycamore. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, that relevant to the channel because we might be doing some stuff with it. There'll be a different background
tree?
behind me if I ever have the face cam on again.
Yeah,
Before I start moving stuff in, I got to do the before video of just walking through because.
but you will need to get some stuff in there before then, because otherwise that thing is going to echo like hell.
Yes. By the time the office is priority one, so I've already budgeted enough money to get the office up and running. And I actually saved about $1,000 today because. Okay, here I'm gonna rant about this a little bit because I needed to get appliance shopping because I didn't read the contract close enough, and when I bought the house, they were taking the refrigerator.
Yeah.
It's fine. I should have looked at the fine print. I don't really care. I had to buy my own fridge.
I mean, they already tried to fuck you with parts being broken, and you accused them on that.
Yeah, that was more like the contractors the person used kind of screwed her, and so she went back to them and was like, "Okay, you fix this stuff." So it wasn't really on the seller's fault. But anyway, so I need refrigerator, washer, dryer, and I was going to go to a Best Buy to get them, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, if I get like decent middle of the range ones, it's probably going to run me about like $3,000. And yeah, they're not cheap. Because these are like appliances you buy once and you're done with, so they're meant to last forever. So they price them accordingly. Anyway, so I go to the Best Buy, and there's these giant steel cargo containers all over the parking lot. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then they have a kiosk set up outside, and the guy's like, oh yeah, we can't let you in. We're doing like renovations on the inside, but if you want something, we can go in and get it, and you can do a purchase
Just
here.
walk into the steel container. We'll be right behind you. Don't worry.
Exactly. Don't ignore this cattle prod.
But those aren't screams. That's just some cats fucking in the background.
Anyway, so like I'm like, okay, well, I don't think that's gonna work because I need, and I listed off the appliances, and he's like, yeah, we can't do that. And he's like, well, you can try going to another Best Buy. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll check out one because the next one was like 20 miles away. So I wasn't gonna drive that far just to go to Best Buy, especially because there was a. Do you have Lowe's over there?
No,
it's a hardware store.
Lowe's. Actually, we might do. I'm not someone who particularly goes to hardware stores lots.
The two big ones around where, or the three big ones around where I am are like Aubuchon's, Lowe's, and Home Depot.
I've definitely heard of Lowe's. It's like the blue writing, isn't it?
That's Lowe's. Lowe's is the blue one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went there, and it's a good thing I did because I got all three appliances for $2,000. I saved $1,000 because Best Buy was under construction.
Hell yeah. Well, clearly it wasn't the Best Buy.
Yeah, right there. It's false advertising.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to have a little mini rant about that too.
It amazes me how much the simplest things, pieces of furniture cost. Like, one of my old friends, they had bought a bar, and they were needing to get bar stools. The bar stools themselves were a ridiculous price. They're just stools. It's a piece of wood on another piece of wood.
Yeah.
And it was so expensive.
I lucked out significantly because my grandfather was really into woodworking and like refinishing furniture. So I have a bar that's set up, that I've got over here. I've got a dining room table and chairs. Didn't have to pay anything for them because he made all of them. And when he passed and they were divvying up the furniture and stuff, it all went out to different members of the family, and I got the dining room table. Which is great because I looked dining room tables. If you want to get a dining room table with like a decent number of chairs to go with it, it's like you're looking at like $6,000. Like if you want a good wood one, if you want like a cheap crap one, you can probably get it for like 1,000 or 2,000.
Well, I'm pretty sure my partner's father is big into like restoring stuff, so he got a real knockdown price table, and after working on it a bit, it's a really nice table, and it's quite often you're going to a house, and if you put down a mug or something in the wrong place, someone will rush in and be like, "Oh no,
use a coaster."
Yeah, he's gone the next level. It's like, this is my table. You keep it clean.
It's like you leave a cup stain on this, and I'll put the fear of God in you.
I'll be washing it off with your blood.
Okay. So actually, on the line of tables, a kind of a dream purchase of mine. This is something that I if I ever get it, I won't get it for years.
Yeah,
you know those like professionally made like gaming tables.
I think maybe it's just because you've been talking about it recently. I think someone I know has actually bought one. Or was it just you talking about it a lot?
I was talking about it, a couple weeks back.
I think it might have been Raven even. I don't know.
But this one, I should have the company name so I can actually speak about it accurately. But essentially, they will make it out of like custom like wood. Like you tell them the wood you want, and they source it from different places around the world, and then you Wormwood. That's the company's name. They're called Wormwood.
Gotcha.
But I can get one made of ebony, and which
you go ahead and be like, I want one made of chipboard. Can you do that?
They did have like some fairly cheap varieties, but so it's a normal table, but then you take off the top, and below it, it's like sunken in and it's felt, and you've got the cup holders and places to put dice and things. And it also, you can get chairs to go with it. You want to take a stab in the dark at what just the table costs?
Well, I know
if you get the ebony version,
one of these, and they've got one with all the cup holders, and they use it to play poker and stuff like that for the charity live streams. So I know what they look like. Price-wise, I mean, bear in mind you said that a table and chairs set was $6,000.
That's for like a normal dining room set, yeah.
Yeah. This doesn't come with the chairs, but it's like multiple tables in one, essentially.
And ebony's a fairly valuable wood, too.
Oh, in ebony as well. Okay. I'm going to say somewhere around the $10,000 mark. That's
closer to if you were getting it with the chairs. It was around 7,000.
7,000, okay.
Just for the table, and then if you each chair was $500.
Yeah. Well, for chairs, I wouldn't have spent $7,000 on that. I would sit on a plastic box.
I mean,
you get multiple tables.
This is why this is a pipe dream for me. It's like I could get this table or a car. Well, not a very good car, like a used
car. You don't know.
I mean, I have a car, but anyway, it's something that like it's my dream for like years and years in the future that I probably will never do. But
yeah, and then but when you get it, also your anxiety levels will rise because if anyone is around, you're gonna be like, if you put anything
on this table,
on my table, if the felt gets even slightly stained,
I would be literally shaking every fucking time if like my friends came over with their kids.
Yeah.
Because just
imagine Juan and Raymond just be like super casual about it as well on purpose in front of you.
I mean, to be fair, Raymond's like that. He has a pool table in his basement. He's like that, very because he loves his pool table.
Yeah.
So you don't set drinks down on the pool table. You don't have food around the pool table. There's a table off to the side for that.
No, I totally get that. Yeah, no, that sounds really cool though.
Anyway, yeah, sorry, I went on longer, kind of went off into a few side tangents there, but I feel like that's all relevant information.
Oh yeah, that's good. Right, you ready for a gaming question?
All right, I'm ready.
Actually, shall I pose you the philosophical one or the one that I think we could probably talk about a bit? Actually, you haven't played this yet. Fuck it. All right, Vampire Survivor, right?
Yeah.
You've not played it, but
I've not played it, but I've seen Kevin play it, and I think
your cousins have played it. I've played it a fuck ton.
Yeah.
It has massively like exploded, and everyone loves those kinds of games now. I will fully confess, when I was younger, and this kind of game was on like the first phone apps, right?
You're talking about like bullet hell kind of games.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I'm sure they were on before then, but that was the first ones that I remember. They being like the first phone apps. And now it's had this massive resurgence. I'm actually quite interested in it now, maybe because I've grown up, maybe because the graphics are slightly less shit. Pardon me. But now, in classic PUBG style, everyone is now making a vampire survival game. And some of them are quite good, but even the ones that are good feel every time you play another one of these games, it feels more watered down than the last one because you've already played this game with different graphics. I wanted to get your opinion on that kind of thing.
I personally, I agree with that, but I think it's less because of the games that are clones of clones of clones. It's more that people tend to gravitate back towards the thing they're either most familiar with or that they've put the most time into. So for instance, which usually ends up being the first one, there's a point that Yahtzee makes in the Zero Punctuation series where he's talking about, he reviewed some MMO, and the point he was making was that a lot of newer MMOs tend to fail or tend to not have massive success over the long term because people will then gravitate back to the one that they sunk the most time in, which usually means WoW.
Yeah.
And so but the point stands because WoW was the first like big, very accessible MMO. Like anyone could really play it, and it was low barrier to entry and addicting as all hell. So I think it might be the same.
A terrible game to play in this day and age.
I'm just thinking of like so with the like PUBG, good example. It was the first one that kind of cut everything down and was like, here, just go out into this big arena, loot stuff, shoot people. And so that's why you still see the people who played that. They'll gravitate back to that, even though there's 100 other like battle royale games out there now.
Yeah, it was the first one. Probably because it was big on YouTube and Twitch, I imagine. And then, because anything that gets big on YouTube, for a start, if one person starts playing it, it spreads like a wildfire on YouTube, and suddenly like 10 content creators are playing it. That spreads out to the audience, and they each have millions of subscribers, so those games explode.
Some of the earliest videos on this YouTube channel, for those who are listening to this on YouTube, because I realize this also goes to other platforms, but
true.
The earliest videos on this YouTube channel, some of them, because I did a few Let's Plays before we did this, but PUBG, they were just some fun, like it was just us and the other people from the Hive dicking around on PUBG.
Yeah, and we weren't particularly doing it for I don't think it was even popular at that time particularly, because I think it had gone past the initial phase of a lot of people playing online, and we never did the zombie mode that was in it that streamers were very much a fan of, everything like that. But yeah, and we were never good at it. Well, I mean, you guys weren't bad, but I'm saying we played it for the funny moments, not for actually being good at the game.
I'm just thinking of one of the videos. There's a point where I think I'm riding on the back of a dune buggy with Adam, and I just hear in the style of a Doppler effect, just Kaiser, as you zoom past me in a motorcycle and then flip over in a field.
So I was very drunk that night, and I had a reputation for getting on motorbikes and then being like, oh, quick, get on the back with me. And no one ever wanted to get on the back of my motorbike. That night I was particularly drunk. I got on the back and I was like, I'm coming, guys! And I swerved off the road accidentally, hit a divot, and I literally did a perfect backflip on my motorbike.
It just did this rotation right next to us. We just couldn't believe he actually landed it.
It was so cool. I love the fucking motorbikes making. There are just small things where if you can make vehicles actually intuitive and feel good, it will make me want to play a game so much more. Just for that.
That's what got me hooked on Halo. I'll be honest. Like the vehicles,
I really like the vehicle in Halo.
The modern Halo, not so much, but in Halo, I'm talking like Halo 1 and 2, Halo 1, 2, and 3. Like their vehicle, first of all, Halo 1's vehicle combat was way ahead of the game. Like no other console FPS had vehicles that felt just that good and that well integrated into gameplay. And so it was so much fun just like, rocking around the field in a Ghost or a Warthog or something like that. And then in Halo 2, they kind of enhanced it. Sorry?
So the Ghost is a lot of fun, and this will make sense why I do, but all of the vehicles in Halo feel very floaty. Now, like I said, the Ghost can get away. Is it the Ghost that's just like just off the ground?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. That great. Having the Warthog be able to like flip like it's nothing doesn't feel right. And when you smash in something with like the alien tank, for example, it doesn't feel like it's the same impact as, say, playing Battlefield Bad Company 2. If you drive an M1 Abrams into a building and you smash through part of the wall and it slowly slows you as you break through the walls, that feels fucking epic.
See, that's like part of the charm I found, though, because Halo wasn't supposed to be a realistic shooter. It was an arena shooter. And so the vehicles were supposed to be like fast, well, not fast, but fun, distinct, and if realism is sacrificed to make them like just more fun to drive around and more chaotic. I can't think of the right word. I keep wanting to say chaotic, but that's not the right word. Because you could also do crazy in the original Halo. The vehicles weren't destructible either, so you could do some crazy shit with them, like load a bunch of grenades under a Warthog and use it to flip itself across the map and just ride it.
Something you quite often do in Battlefield Bad Company 2 is go with the engineer, stick a bunch of C4 to the front of a quad bike, and then just sprint at a tank with it. And then just jump out like a second before it goes straight into it. The impact sets off the C4, boom. The fucking feeling in your balls when that happens is like, oh my god.
So many good glitches in Halo 1. I like, because you could get outside the map too, and it wasn't hard to do. And of course, at that point there was no Xbox Live, so if you played it online, you played it online through like GameSpy Arcade or something like that. And so, but it was really easy to get outside the map. Like anyone could do it. So people that would just be a legitimate strategy in a match.
This is on that Forge map, right? The one floating just off of the coast.
No, so I'm thinking of Halo 1, and this was in Sidewinder, the icy map that's kind of in a U shape.
Okay, I'm not sure on that one.
There were quite
the Valley one that's famous.
That's Blood Gulch. You can get outside of that one too. There's a few different ways to do it. Usually with the Ghost. You could do it with the tank too, but it was a little trickier.
Yeah.
Anyway, now I'm just talking about glitches in Halo.
Like I say, that's what this podcast is about. Just random little bits from games. God, I was thinking about saying I've got it. I really wish that they brought Battlefield Bad Company 2 back. I couldn't stand any of the Battlefields after 3. Really, 3 wasn't great, and everything after that, I just like going back to the Prussian War and stuff like that. Like, okay, it's a cool concept, but it's executed in a way that's so similar to Call of Duty that I might as well just play fucking Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's the thing. When the big shooters, I've never really been a Battlefield player. I was always, if I played a realistic shooter, it was usually Call of Duty. And I think I've talked about this in the podcast before. Like because they release one every year, I'll just play every like 2, maybe 3 years. I'll have the urge to play one, and I'll just buy whatever the current one is, play it for a few weeks, and then forget about it for a while.
The last one I played was Warzone, and that was a fucking mistake. God, I hated it.
I played the Black Ops Cold War one that came out right after that. That one was a lot of fun.
Good. But, well, I've already spoken many times about my gripes about Call of Duty. Regarding realism in games, even games that are hyper realistic in the eyes of consumers are not at all realistic. And the reason is because the more realistic you make a game, you could replace the word realism with tedium. Because that's what it is. What the unrealistic part of games is the developer taking out all of the boring shit. So playing a war game, even like whatever it is, Arma or
I was about to bring up Arma. Yeah.
People cite that as an incredibly realistic game. But I mean, you're not loading bullets into your magazines. You're not, getting a little, like your arm blown off, and then for the rest of the game, you've only got one arm. You can only shoot a pistol, and even then, you're stuck in a hospital bed for the whole time because you wouldn't be in the war zone anymore.
I've got a hot take.
Okay.
Arma is the truck simulator of FPS.
It is a simulator game, yeah.
It's basically like the truck driver simulator, or the farming simulator, or the train simulator. The only simulator game I've played and really enjoyed was Goat Simulator.
Not Visceral Cleanup?
No, sorry, of the games that are called blank simulator.
Oh, okay.
Visceral Cleanup was a lot of fun, but I think that was more fun because I was playing it with a bunch of people, and it was like chatting and bantering while you.
Perfect podcast game because you're just doing something with your hands while just chatting shit.
It really is.
Like I said, I'm not trying to knock simulator games. I fucking loved Car Mechanic Simulator.
Yeah, you guys played the hell out of that.
Yeah, I would just sit there in a really sad manner, but it felt like I was learning something. Maybe I wasn't. I was kind of learning bits about actual mechanics in cars.
I kind of enjoyed House Flipper Simulator. Was it called something? Or was it just called House Flipper?
I think it's just House Flipper, but yeah.
It was a fun game. You clean something up, sell a property, move on.
Cleaning simulation games weirdly satisfying.
They are. They give your brain the sense that you're getting something done when you aren't.
Yeah, when you really aren't. Man, I think if there's anything that makes us sound like we're fucking old Kaiser, it's that we play these games and enjoy them. It's like, I remember back when my grandfather used to enjoy the flight games. Like simulator games, sorry.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, God, this is just boring as all hell. Give me Space Invaders.
It's weird looking at how my video game tastes have changed, because I never used to be a like an FPS player. Like I did not like shooter games until Halo 1 kind of lured me in, and then I played that, and that was the gateway drug. But and now the types of games I enjoy are like really slow, like puzzle logic solving kind of games. Like God, what was the one I was playing the other day? Well, I guess Into the Breach is an example of one.
Yeah, the one with the white cat with the robot stroking it. Talos Principle. That's one.
Oh, yep. Yeah, I loved that game. Yeah. But then at the same time, I also play games like Doom Eternal, and I really enjoy those. So I basically have no middle ground anymore. I just play these nice, relaxing strategy games, or these completely over-the-top, like, adrenaline-pumping, if you twitch, you lose kind of games. Because I still play the hell out of StarCraft 2.
Speaking of new games, Jagex. Have you heard of Jagex?
I have not.
Okay, they are the developers of RuneScape. They are creating a new game, and they're using the three death knell words of any new game. No. Open world survival.
Oh, fuck me.
So I was like, oh fuck, Jagex is making a new game. Hell yeah. Oh wait. Oh, never mind. I'm not gonna play it.
There, going back to Zero Punctuation, there's something that he started doing a while back, and he just started naming, like, whenever they hit these trends, like the realistic modern shooter, he started referring to them as Spunk Goggle Weeby.
Yeah.
And
Goggle or Goggle? Yeah, anyway.
It was probably Gargle. But I said Goggle because he said it with a British accent, so. But then I think the games that you're talking about, like the open world survival type games, he started referring to as Jiminy Cockthroat or something like that.
Right.
I don't know.
But yeah, they're just so generic. There's an even worse word to the end of this game because it's also PvP, which I'm really not. I am bad at PvP.
I love PvP.
In everything except like Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm. CS:GO, I don't mind it. Well, obviously because that's the whole thing for CS:GO. But you don't lose anything in CS:GO. all hops. You just finish the game and then you start anew.
Yeah, that's why. So I like PvP. We've been playing Sea of Thieves off and on. That my favorite part of Sea of Thieves is the ship combat. Like actually getting into an engagement with like another player, and the desperate battle to keep your ship afloat while you try to kill them and sink their ship. I love that. And you don't really ever lose anything. You lose whatever treasure you got potentially that session, but you don't lose.
You really do.
Do you? What do you lose?
You lose a piece of your soul for a start.
Oh, okay.
It's always like.
But things that you've already unlocked, you don't lose like currency or anything like for instance, if your ship sinks, you don't lose that skin for the ship or something like that. I'm going somewhere with this. Just
no, but I mean, I'd say Sea of Thieves is a bad example because you can literally put, and we have many, many, many times spent hours collecting loot, and it's not only gone in a single second, but the other motherfucker
gets it all.
Killed us is walking away with it
again. But my point was, I'm fine with those stakes because yes, it gives a much more gravity to the combat. Yes, it feels like shit when you lose, but when you win, you're on fucking cloud nine. Where I was going with this is one game that I had to kind of stop playing because I felt the stakes were way too high. Going back to way too realistic games.
Guess.
What?
Tarkov?
No, it's the Hunter Showdown game, or whatever it was called. The Hunt.
Oh.
The Hunt Showdown, or
yeah, the one that you and me played briefly.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's called Hunt Showdown. So I really liked the game. I had fun with it, and I actually won a decent number of times playing through it. When we played, I think we won one or two, or came in high play. My problem was
won a lot.
If you die in those games, your character is just gone.
Except if you want to pay in IRL money, in which case I'm pretty sure you can bring your people back.
Yeah, and that was what killed it for me, because I wasn't going to pay more money for a game I had already bought.
No. I didn't play the game for long enough that I cared about any of my characters. And in fact, I don't think any of my characters ever died because early in the game, your characters just can't die.
Yeah. I played it for long enough that my characters could die, and I had a character that I'd won a few games with, had some cool stuff on, and I lost the game, and it was gone, and it was just so demoralizing, I never went back to it.
Yeah. And no, that's what put me off of that Ark Survival Evolved.
Ark Survival Evolved, like what happens with most of those survival games, what put me off that one was I had a busy work week, and by the time I actually got logged back online, everyone else was flying robo-dinosaurs to Mars, and I was still holding a stick. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I hate it. Yeah. And you guys were playing, you're playing on a server where you didn't have to wait for dinosaurs to train. They just instantly trained.
Yeah,
right?
I wasn't a huge fan of that, but...
Second of all, and this is probably the biggest thing, there weren't other players on your server. When I played it, you could go off to sleep for the night and you come back and some wanker had come and killed all your dinosaurs in your sleep.
Yeah. I will we're changing topics very quickly here, so just for the benefit of people who haven't played it, Ark Survival Evolved is a survival crafting open world game where there are dinosaurs on the island.
And PvP, and it sucks.
And you have to gather up equipment, build up a shed to sleep in. You can train dinosaurs. Eventually, you can get to the point where you've progressed technology from you have a rock and a stick and some underwear to I have an assault rifle, combat armor, and I'm flying on a raptor.
Yeah, like Rust, minus the raptor.
Yeah, but I've watched videos way back in 2017 or 2018 of people who had massive 100 people servers going. And they would, to prevent what you were talking about, they would form tribes and factions. And there were people who were supposed to be logged in to make sure they were protecting the camp and stuff. And people got hardcore about it. It was cool to watch.
Yeah, it's cool to watch. But it's like having a child. And so you have to log on every day. Otherwise, you're being a bad parent. and everyone will hate you for it, and you'll hate yourself for it. And that kind of thing in a game, is just not okay with me.
It's like Neopets.
Yeah.
Not
like Neopets.
What are those games that almost like a cookie clicker game? You have to keep logging in and making sure that you do all the things. And
you got to get your dailies. You got to do your 3. Anyway, yeah. Fuck that.
Speaking of, it's been like a week and a half since I played Diablo Immortal.
I
I kind of got bored with it.
Well, yeah. There's only so much you can do. No, have you heard about the guy that put so much money into it that he maxed his character, and then because his champion's level was so high, there was no one else on the planet that he could play against in PvP, so he just couldn't do PvP. Like, can you imagine just spending literally millions of dollars on a phone game, and then you've gone too far and no one can actually play it with you anymore?
There's a song called Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise Crazy. It's by a guy named Jonathan Colton. He does a few like kind of funny little songs, but he's actually pretty good. Anyway, there's a line in it. It's basically just a song about how Tom Cruise is so rich that there's just no one on earth that can understand him. And it's a joke song about him. But one of the lines in it is somewhere in some secluded castle, poor Tom Cruise sits staring at the wall. And I don't know, it's a funny song. Listen to it.
Okay.
I'm telling that to the audience, not you. But you should listen to it too.
But my point is, if you're spending that much on a game, don't spend it on the game. Spend it on a gaming company, buy the company, and get them to make whatever fucking game you want. At least then you'll get some money back in theory.
That is going to be next move for Elon Musk. I'm predicting it. He's going to buy a game.
I think you're gonna say it's gonna be my special table, and then that's gonna be the next thing. Buying a gaming company.
No, God, no.
I'm buying Blizzard.
God, it's too much work. Owning.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, or? Honestly,
not really.
So I know I'm breaking the mold here. Because I think for segment 3, all we're going to do is do more topics anyway.
Probably.
So, but all right. So we'll end segment 1 there. That's spoiled for segment 3. We're just going to be talking about more things, but they will be different things.
Oh my god!
It's fine. I feel like the last few episodes we've been kind of bringing it back to formula. Like we're not. We had like a media segment. We had topics. They were very regimented. We had like in segment 3, we had like a bunch of different games going, and we were rotating through them, and we were constantly trying to come up with new ones. These days, we're just, the whole concept of this podcast in the beginning was we just two guys having a conversation about stuff we find interesting and putting it out there.
When we started this podcast, did I have a job? I don't think I did.
No, and I was still working 100% remote.
Yeah.
Which meant I had a lot more time.
Yeah. That being said, in the future, I can see a time when I'm going to have more time on my hands. I mean, mostly it's a toss-up between dedicating time to this and to D&D.
Yeah. That, by the way, that is something that I've got written here as a potential topic for segment. Not D&D in particular.
A story.
But, well, you know what? I'm gonna presage it right now, so you can get this percolating in your mind, and you people listening can think about like what's gonna come next, which will be much quicker for you than it's gonna be for us. I think these days that the non D&D systems are better than D&D, like things like Pathfinder or like what's it called, GURPS or no. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a system that... What?
I have opinions, but we're not going to discuss them now.
We're not going to talk about it right now, but just keep it in your head. It's going to come up.
Yep.
Anyway, this is going to be the end of segment 1 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you will hear us again momentarily for segment 3. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast, and this would normally be segment 3, our wildcard segment. It's actually just me here right now. Blue is not here. And the reason for that is we actually did record segment 3. We recorded the entire thing, and it turned out that the only thing that recorded was my mic audio. Blue's OBS fucked up, my OBS fucked up, which is where I record the backup version of his audio. Just in case, and the backup version of mine, in case one of the direct streams fail. Unfortunately, both failed in the case of Blue's audio. So, sorry, but this is all you get. It's just segment 1 this week. Although I will give you we will revisit the topics we talked about. We actually had a lot of fun with it, talking about different D&D-like systems, tabletop systems that we've experienced, and how D&D in its current iteration is a little bit too constrictive, and we like having a little bit more creativity. And we got lost in some stories about how we've personally done that as Dungeon Masters, and told some stories about some of the interesting things our parties have done in games. And it was a fun conversation, and we will go back to that, and we will actually record that again at some point. But considering how late in the week it is, and considering the fact that we just recorded it, we're not going to have our hearts in it if we try to re-record it now. Also, Blue just texted me, and he's out with his girlfriend, and they're drunk. So, you wouldn't have liked the conversation anyway. Until next time, this unfortunately is going to be the end of episode 93 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you'll hear us again in 2 weeks.